Hey, it's Benjie Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction. The talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org, for more info, or you can email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Gerald McIsaac. We'll be discussing his book, Bird from Hell. Now, guys, keep in mind, when you go to search for the book and purchase it, keep in mind there's been 3 other editions written previously. So the one you want to find is Bird from Hell, 4th edition. Okay, that's the most current one that Gerald has put out. And that's available in Amazon, Barnes & Noble for purchase. But if you guys want to get the full experience of everything that Gerald has to offer, do yourself a favor. He has 2 websites that I'm going to list for you right now. Make sure you check them out. Gerald McIsaac ScienceProject.com, and then also GeraldMcIsaac.com. Both of those websites, you'll be able to find more information on Gerald himself, more information on this title, as well as the other titles that Gerald has written. But if you want to purchase the book, go directly to Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And Gerald was brought to People of Distinction today by some of the best movers in the business. Parchment Global Publishing. If you have a book that you'd like moved, well, move it through Parchment. You can find them at parchmentglobalpublishing.com. And guys, I am so excited to have Gerald here on the line because the book we're going to be discussing, Bird from Hell, listen, it revolves around a lot of creatures that we all, I'm sure, are very familiar with, or at least have heard something about in the past. Pterodactyls, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, all these different creatures that are assumed to either A, have never really existed, or B, if they did exist, are definitely extinct by this point. Well, listen, Gerald is here to tell us that we shouldn't believe everything that we've heard, because just because it's been believed that they're extinct is actually not the case, okay? And he has proof that these animals and these creatures, and one in particular, the bird from hell, does in fact exist. All right, and Gerald is the expert on this topic, so without further ado, let's bring him here on the line with us. Gerald, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for being a guest today on People of Distinction. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you, Benjie. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we are very excited to have you here. Now, before we jump into the book, let's hold off slightly, okay? Let's build that temptation just a little bit more. Gerald, tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm a Caucasian mountain man. I live in the mountains of northern British Columbia. I live on a reserve. Of course, my wife and children are indigenous. And I have a scientific background, but because of my heretical beliefs, so to speak, I'm not allowed to earn a living working in science. So I'm doing my science project, as I call it, my little science project on the side. I'm doing this without any help from any scientist. My in-laws, people who live in this village, the elders have told me of these animals, which I swear at first I was absolutely dumbfounded. So for those who are skeptical, people who are listening who are skeptical, I say excellent. I love a skeptical attitude. That was my attitude also. Then I had to face the fact either these people who have lived in their mountains all their life, the elders, either they are correct or the scientists are correct. They cannot both be correct because they're saying exactly the opposite thing. In particular, the animal which they call the thunderbird, that is the bird, the animal which is nocturnal, spends the daylight hours inside caves, comes out of caves, hunts strictly in darkness. It terrifies these people. And from their description, when they described it to me, I was absolutely floored. It matches the description of the pterodactyl perfectly. And they pointed out the caves to me in those mountains, which it is their belief that these caves lead directly to hell. I respect those beliefs. I do not share them, but I respect them. And because it flies, they think it's a bird, and so I gave it the title "Bird from Hell."
Wow. Gerald, this is gripping, man. I'm at the edge of my seat now. So you live in this village. You're amongst these people. That is their belief. Now, you said you respect their belief. You don't share it, but you do respect it. Now, I'm guessing you respect it because of what they've told you, but you don't share it because you haven't physically seen this creature yourself. Correct?
No, I have never seen it, but I have spoken to people who have seen it, including my son, who saw it on 2 occasions, and my wife saw it. But they think it is a spirit, a demon, the beast in the form of a bird. These are the beliefs which I respect. I think it is a flesh and blood animal, a reptile, but I respect their beliefs that bullets do not have any effect on these things because they are spirits. I think bullets can and will have an immediate traumatic impact on these animals. Mm-hmm. And I do not think those caves lead directly to hell, but as I say, I respect their belief.
Absolutely. Now, as we continue, listen, thank you so much, Gerald. Listen, we know about the book, or at least know what the book entails or somewhat encompasses. Now, we're, of course, discussing specifically the bird from hell. Now, in your book, you don't discuss just this bird. You discuss other creatures as well, correct?
Absolutely. They also speak of this animal, which they call the hairy elephant. My mother-in-law recognized a picture of an elephant. Mind you, the elephant that she remembered was hairy. And that animal also terrified them. That is the woolly mammoth. Mm-hmm. And they were running from the woolly mammoth in the late 20th century. That's just one example.
Wow.
Then there's they call them stink people, which is not very flattering, but that's Gigantopithecus. That's the scientific term. I call them giants. They're commonly called Bigfoot or Sasquatch. And from my research into them, it is clear they are, in fact, a separate species of human. And when we are hunting them to extinction, we are making their lives supremely miserable. This has got to stop. And in my book, I say we've got to respect these people. They do not abide by our laws, by our borders. They're members of a hunting-gathering society. Mm-hmm. They are huge. I call them giants. And good-natured, easygoing people. And what is more, they're on Vancouver Island. They're on the reserves on Vancouver Island. And these dimwits, these imbeciles who are hunting them, I say, you have no right. They have the right to live their lives as they see fit. Leave them alone. If you want to meet them, go to Vancouver Island, go to the reserves on Vancouver Island, work with the elders, because with the elders, after sundown, the people who live on the reserves on the island stay off the beach, because that's the time the giants go on the beach They are human. They love the same things we love, and that includes seafood. That is the time and the place to meet them. Work with the elders, with the indigenous people, show respect, put out food and gifts for them on the beaches after sundown. Let them approach us. Let them know we are friendly, because I know people, I personally know people who have shot at those giants, so they have no reason to trust us. Let them come to us. Let us earn their trust. But they are real, they exist, they are human, and we have got to prove they exist and have laws passed to protect them. Even now in the state of Texas, for one example, it is now legal to hunt those people. I consider that murder. The killing of another human being, to me, is murder. It gets me quite excited.
Absolutely.
As
it should. The Jefferson ground sloth was named after your third president, Thomas Jefferson. Mm-hmm.
It was alive 200 years ago. It's alive today. They call it the giant beaver. The dire wolf, huge wolf, size of deer, they call the wilderness wolf. Even the scientists admit the dire wolf still exists. The Milwaukee lion, that's a huge cat within the city of Milwaukee. That's the saber-toothed cat. It's a female. That is the reason it does not have those huge teeth. And the animals, Ogopogo, the animal in Okanagan Lake, I'm now convinced that's an ichthyosaur. But any scientist will tell you there are no mass extinctions of reptiles, and they are right. Then they also tell us that all the flying reptiles went extinct, and 4 orders of swimming reptile went extinct, and I feel like yelling at them, which is it? Are they extinct or not? And these megafauna, it's in North America, survived 3 ice ages, including the woolly mammoth and the saber-toothed cat. We know this for a fact because they were alive at the end of the last ice age, the 3rd ice age, which means they survived climate change on numerous occasions. So now to suggest, as the scientists swear, they went extinct because they cannot handle climate change, I say, what happened the first time the climate changed? And of course, on these little details, they are quiet. They will not answer. So the scientists know this animal. In North America, it's called thunderbird. Other local names like demon bird, Satan bird. The scientists know, they're supremely well aware that it exists, and they are aware that it preys upon people, mainly girls of childbearing age, because they smell the blood, and they prey upon children because they are easier to pick up and carry away. They hunt in darkness in open areas, and the scientists know this, and they remain silent. They also kill livestock. These animals are occasionally seen in the darkness. They are famous for releasing a cloud of smoke. That's what it's called, cloud of smoke. It is not smoke. It is poison gas, and deadly poison gas. They use that gas to kill horses and cattle. And there are a great many farmers or ranchers, whatever they call themselves, who can testify to this. So they wake up in the morning and they find their livestock, mainly cattle, dead in their fields, and the farmers know it's not being killed by wolves, bears, or cougars for two reasons. There's no blood around the wound, and the wounds are quite specific. Flesh is torn from the face, the genitals, and the large intestine is drawn out. The large intestine is quite nourishing. Now, this animal is very light. It might weigh 30 pounds or 15 kilos. So it's very difficult for this animal to tear apart the carcass of a horse or a cow. So they grab the morsels they can after they first kill it with this poison gas. Now, the authorities are stumped. When the farmers find this, they naturally think it was killed by a human, so they call in the police. The police investigate and determine it was not killed by a human, so no one is breaking the law. Now, the people blame the police. The police, their job is to enforce the law. Their job is not to solve mysteries. So the farmers, of course, are very upset. Who can blame them? Mm-hmm. And they put pressure on the state. The state is confused. They don't know. They call in the FBI for some reason. And the FBI doesn't know. They've seen this for at least 50 years, and they can't figure it out. But the good, well, not good, it's terrible, so there are no buts. I'm just saying now the way to solve this mystery is that the next time a cow is found dead in a farmer's field, bear in mind the blood has not been drained. It's in the animal. I say draw the blood out of the carcass. Send it to a lab. The lab can determine the poison gas that was used to kill this animal. And I have no idea what it is. The lab can tell us. That's the first thing, easy. Second thing, real easy, I'm sure the animal left behind some DNA. Mm-hmm. Swab around the wounds and send the swabs to a lab for a DNA test. I'm sure the lab will tell us the DNA is that of a reptile, one which is not known to science. That will get the police off the hook and put the scientists, this is a problem for the scientists, which they refuse to face. We have to force the issue. The third thing we have to do, which is a bit more difficult, I grant you, there's an old logging road close to this village. It's about 10 miles away or 15 kilometers. Now, the people here, my relatives, have pointed out the caves to me on that logging road. They open up onto the logging road, and 30 years ago, my relatives pointed out those caves in-laws and said, after sundown, they called it Sunny J in their language. I had no idea what they're talking about. Now I know they're talking about the thunderbird. It comes out of there after sundown, and I'm saying that road has been deactivated. Open up that logging road, get it going, and it's going maybe 6 or 8 miles, if memory serves. There are a series of caves. Put in cameras close to those caves, and after sundown, we will see these animals coming out of those caves. And as I say, for those who are skeptical, and I hope there's a great many such people, this is what we need to do. Determined to prove it exists. And that once we prove that is a pterodactyl, in most parts of the world it's called a dragon. The Chinese even named the year after the dragon. It exists, and we can go from there and proceed to find others, such as the woolly mammoth, the short-faced bear, Gigantopithecus, Sasquatch, or Bigfoot. The list is a long list. How's that? Sorry for the speech. I get all worked up here. Excited about this.
Gerald, I love it, man. Thank you so much. Again, as I stated, this is all gripping. It's so enlightening. And listen, I had a long list of questions that I wanted to go through, and you went off on a tangent. You ended up answering all the questions that I had to ask before I even put them out there. So thank you so much. You made my job very easy, and I truly appreciate it. Listen, guys, what more can be said, okay? I mean, this is all amazing. This is gripping stuff. Do yourself a favor. Head on over, okay? Rush on over. Get on your computers right now. Go to Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. Pick up your copy of Bird from Hell. Remember, you want the 4th edition. That's the most current one with the most updated pieces of information that Gerald has put together, okay? So one more time, Bird from Hell, 4th edition, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble by Gerald McIsaac. Or you can go directly to his personal site, GeraldMcIsaac.com or GeraldMcIsaacScienceProject.com. But guys, that's not all. Of course, that was the main focus of the interview. That was the anchor for this immaculate interview that we comprised and put together. But he's written 4 other titles as well, okay? So you can also find Political and Scientific Articles, Volume 1, and then also Volume 2, The Second American Revolution, and then lastly, Occupy Movement and the Dictatorship of the Proletarian. All of which are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble as well. Gerald, once again, man, this has been absolutely fantastic. What a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for being a guest today with us on People of Distinction.
My pleasure.